Hello, hello. Welcome to Soul, Wit, and Wisdom. I am so excited. I'm your host, Kristen Lena. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good middle of the night, wherever you are. I am so fired up to introduce today's guest. I don't know her as well as I've known some of my other guests. I've probably had 5 conversations with this woman. However, her reputation preceded her such that who she was for me, meeting her was like, have you met Shazia? Have you met Shazia? Oh, you don't know Shazia? You have to know Shazia. Like, you have to meet this woman. So now, if you don't already know her, you get to meet her. I'm going to pull her up into the stream. Yes! The beautiful, the fantastic, the powerful, the intellectual Shazia Imam. And before we dive in, I'm actually going to read you her bio because she's pretty dope. So Shazia is an award-winning speaker and host of the Top 12 podcast, Feminine and Fulfilled. She's also known as the Life Engineer. She's a certified life coach, but her previous life was as an engineer with 2 decades of experience working in Fortune 500 companies. She left all of that to follow her soul's calling to help women unleash their authentic self and live purposefully. I knew I loved her before I even met her. I just knew. As a recovering people-pleasing perfectionist, Shazia knows all too well the empty feeling, even when you seem to quote unquote have it all. After experiencing her own life fall apart after losing her son and then husband, Shazia realized it was a divine push to begin living her real life. This blossomed into finding her soulmate, discovering her feminine power, and living her deep purpose, one which involves women unleashing their whole selves to feel fulfilled, happy, and whole. And she writes, isn't life more fabulous that way? Shazia, it so is. And it's so obvious why your reputation preceded you, because your reputation's pretty damn cool. It's pretty amazing. So welcome. Thank you for joining us on Soul, Wit, and Wisdom.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me, Kristen. Let's just do this every day so that I feel really good about myself. Thank you so much.
I'm just saying, like, we are spreading positivity out into the world. Yes. So here's how I like to roll this is I want your story. I want to hear your story. So a lot of what we're discussing on these interviews is, breakdown to breakthrough. So rock bottom to sky high, or the journey of what we think. Like, here's what I love about your story, and I know a little bit about it. Mm-hmm. There's some shit that happened in your life that is pretty devastating, and a lot of the speakers that I've had on the show, same. And it's who we become in the process of rising up through tragedy or loss, or I thought my life was supposed to be this, into really discovering, oh, wait, it's really over here supposed to be this. So if you would share a little bit of the background on, what occurred.
Sure. So for me, I feel like I had a very typical, like, check boxes, like, life. That's what I like to call it, the check boxes. Checking off the things. So I did all the things. I went to a good school. I got a good job. I got married. I was, on my way to, like, get all of the things. And I had this dream, like this white picket fence dream. I even knew the zip code I wanted to live in, 20165. Like, that's how much I had really thought my life would be. Like, I was going to create this beautiful life and then, have a family, and at the end throw beautiful dinner parties and smile and have the skinny body, perfect body until who knows when, it's just that it's this dream that so many of us have. Mm. And I was very attached to it because for me, it felt like if I attained this, then it would somehow make me enough. It would make me fit in. It would make me normal. Like, because all of us have a backstory, like every single person. And I think ultimately there's this idea of like, well, if I get these things, then I am somehow going to make it. Mm-hmm. And I really believed that in my heart of hearts that this would be the thing. And here I am, and I'm doing all the stuff. And, I have a lot of stuff on paper that looks really good. I'm going to really acknowledge that. But what ultimately happened is that when I believe that we get whispers, we get whispers at time, and then it gets louder, and then it gets louder. And when you don't listen, like stuff really happens. And for me, it was it was really devastating because what it looked like for me was losing my son. I got pregnant. I thought this is it. And then just a few hours after labor, he passed away. And, to bury your child, like it's been almost 12 years now. And I'm grateful for having faith because it's devastating. But I really believe I believe he's in heaven. I believe he snuggles up in my heart. Like I feel he's with me. So if I'm being really honest, the greater devastation for me was after that happened, I thought, okay, things are going to continue. I'm still going to get this dream. I'm going to do the other things. And I still kept going. But there was something there clearly that, God, the universe, my creator was trying to say, like, look, there's something else. And it wasn't until my husband at the time told me I want a separation that I just thought, oh my God, like what in the world? Everything is unraveling.
Right.
For me, I felt like a failure. Like being completely honest, I felt like a failure. And I felt like, who am I now? That's the question, because I had never actually been with myself. I had always been good at filling out those check marks, but who am I without those things? And so it really set me on this trajectory of having to explore, discover, unleash who I am. And the thing is that message had been coming for a really long time, but I didn't listen. I was too focused on wanting to create this perfect package here rather than allowing myself to see that it's not about being in a box, literally, no matter how nice the wrapping paper is, no matter how beautiful you think that bow is, because if there's nothing in the box, if you don't know who you are, like if you don't have that filling, it doesn't matter. And so I really feel like this journey I went on was to understand that life's not in a box. Life is in this expansiveness of this place that we live in. And I noticed and learned that when I connected to myself, my life flourished in a way I just couldn't imagine before.
Yeah. What I hear you say is when we're attached to how it's supposed to look, when we're attached to how it's supposed to look, I'm supposed to graduate from this great college. I'm supposed to live in this zip code. I'm going to have kids. I'm going to have a husband. I'm going to have all these things. And then, so your attachment, what I hear is your attachment to that wasn't necessarily what you were here. It wasn't like, if I'm going to look a little bit deeper, it's not why you're here.
It's not. And it's a part of me. I'll take you to this one moment where I realized how much I didn't want it. So I was sitting in my friend's backyard. I remember she happened to live in Trinidad at the time. So it was a beautiful backyard and really lush and green. And we're sitting there and she turns to me. This was about a year after my divorce and being on my own. And she looks at me and she says, Shazia, you're meant for something really big. And I just looked back at her and the tears started streaming down my face. And I was like, I don't want that. I don't want that. I didn't. And in that moment I said, I don't, because the truth is that I knew that this is what had been calling to me, but I kept running away. And here it was really in front of me. There was like nowhere else to go. And in that moment, I had to accept the call. And so I cried and I sobbed like a baby. And I was like, I don't want to. And then I said, but I know that this is my truth. I accept. And I made a choice then to say, okay, like I am open.
So what was the discovery? So that was you said about a year and a half after you got divorced. What did you do next? When you said, because really what you said is, okay, let me be open to this and look at and see what were the next sort of things that occurred for you, or the actions that you took, or the place that you came from.
Okay, this is really wild. And this is really the universe at work. It's really fascinating. So that night we watched The Secret. Have you seen The Secret?
Of course.
Right? Nobody's seen it. Okay. Well, that night we watched it. Of all the things to watch, we watched The Secret after I accepted this calling. And I'm like, oh, so we watch it. And so then the next day we're like, let's make vision boards. I had never made a vision board. So I make a vision board, and I actually did it on Pinterest. So I just picked out pictures and I picked out pictures at that time of relationships of how I wanted to feel. So I had all these pictures of couples like being playful or passionate or romantic. And I just was like, I don't know how this is going to happen, but I'm just going to put these pictures on here and I'm going to create this vision board. So we did it together. And actually, it was really nice to have somebody to do it with. So my friend made one too. And I went into the space of visioning and dreaming. And what that allowed me to do is once I created it physically, I then was like, oh, okay, well, now let me start maybe imagining things. Let me start thinking about, you know, what it would be like. What would it feel like? I'm like, let me just give this a go. And here's something also really wild is that I put a picture of an engagement ring on that vision board like the next day. And it was this beautiful ring. And I just thought it was so stunning. And I was like, let me just put it on there. And fast forward 10 months later, that ring was on my finger. Like
Please tell me that you're joking me. Like that's the picture of.
How do I'm like, it's a mirror effect right now, you guys. That's my ring.
That was the ring that was on your vision board.
This exact one.
Wow.
Like, this is a true story. Now, of course, I told him which ring I wanted, but the point is I met my man, you know?
Yes. So you visioned your life. You first of all, how long did it take you to mourn? And I don't think that we ever, I truly believe that there's always going to be a space in your heart. But how long did it take you to mourn the life that you weren't going to have, the life that like you had constructed and worked towards? Like, what was that process? How long was that process for you?
That process was a lot longer for me, I will say. And it probably like took longer because I still wasn't ready to let it go. I mean, that process probably took me about maybe 3 or 4 years. And when I say that, like there's all this time in between, you know, I lost my son 12 years ago, but the divorce didn't happen until it's been 6 years now. So there was a 6 year in between of like, just a lot of hardship and really trying to hold on and doing everything I could to hold on to something that I just knew. You know, I can't blame myself. It's just what I knew. And I didn't have this capacity to really understand beyond that. But the process that I used to mourn and then to get through it is, again, it's about acknowledgement. I feel like I keep coming back to this idea of acknowledging and deciding. And one of the things that was really important for me to acknowledge is how I felt about myself. I realized that by me feeling like an utter failure, by me feeling like it was better that I didn't live in this world. I used to think that it would be better if I wasn't in this world because I brought nothing. This is how I thought of myself. And it wasn't until I acknowledged, like one day I literally said out loud to myself, I have low self-esteem. Like I said that. I said I have low self-esteem. And I was like, okay. And then, you know, I do have an engineer hat a little bit. So I like to problem solve, you know. So I went and I wrote down, again, I dreamed. I didn't know that at the time that that's what I was doing. But I wrote down things that I wanted in my life. I visualized my life. And I actually found that journal entry yesterday that I wrote. And it was, I can share it with you if anybody wants to hear it. But it's really just this really basic vision I had for myself at that time. And it's almost the same method of, you know, acknowledge, decide, dream, and then the universe will always create a way. Because when I made this decision to value myself, then things started opening up again. I just didn't know what it was at that time.
Yeah. What is it? Read the journal entry. Read it.
Okay. I have it right here. This is so funny, right? Isn't this like serendipitous timing? Like,
Always.
Always. Okay. Okay. I can't believe I'm reading this.
You say you offered it, so I think someone needs to hear it, Shazia.
Okay, yeah, I'll share. Okay. I want to show you the journal too because it's so beautiful.
Yes, stop right there. What does it say oh, it is beautiful. What does it say in the front? Read to me because I can't see it.
In the midst of our lives, we must find the magic that makes our souls soar.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So literally I have this thought about my self-esteem and then I had this journal. So I write, this is my first new journal in a long time, basically a second one in my marriage. And I'm also now 33. My hope is to fill this journal with my thoughts and feelings, but also my hopes and dreams and even fears and vulnerabilities that can help me to come to a better place in my life. Not just on the outside, but on the inside at my core. If I were to visualize what I want my life to look like, this is what it is. I have a generous heart. I have a loving family that is normal, and I love them too. I don't need to be in control of things, and I let my life ebb and flow, always finding contentment. I'm the positive person in all situations, not letting things bother me or get me down. Instead, continuing on a greater mission and remembering the bigger picture. I smile often and bring happiness to others. I look fresh and beautiful with a deep beauty. I'm around people who find me attractive and valuable. I spend my time in a meaningful way, am open to new things, and find depth even in the mundane of activities. I'm connected to people through heart, souls, language, anything creating connection and not behind a wall of technology. I'm laid back, not stuck in my ways, using my skills of detail orientation and organization in a positive way. I'm confident and don't put myself or others down. I see the good in all, including myself, and I'm not critical. I learn things to expand myself. I listen. I do meaningful things. I'm healthy, drinking lots of water, eating good food, and nourishing myself and soul. I live simply. I am present. I understand that I'll never be completely balanced out, but I work towards balance every day.
And is that pretty much where your life is right now? Yeah.
Yes. Every time I read it, I'm like, what? Like that? I remember my feeling the time I wrote that. I remember thinking that there was no way, like, how could any of this ever be my life? Such a dark time. And when I read it now, it's like, yes, this is my life today, and it has been, and I'm so grateful for that.
So you did the work, right? You did the work, and what did that? I get so you had this thing happen that losing your son, and then losing the marriage, and then really taking a stand for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a moment where it was like, you mentioned it earlier, like you acknowledged that you had this low self-esteem. When did you actually switch and say, wait a minute, why not? Or I don't know what the words would be in right? Like when they come to you, like, well, why not me? Or, well, here's what I call it. I call it the tiny voice. There's the loud voice that's like, you suck, you're not pretty, you're heavy, you're never going to do it, people aren't going to love. Like, that's the loud voice. That's the voice that's like, it feels like it's always there. Mm-hmm. The tiny voice is the voice that I would call the truth. The truth is your divinity. What's actually possible for you, who you really are. And that's the voice that usually, what I've found, takes something. You call it a whisper. I call it a tap. So first, the universe, God, gives you a little I want you to just kind of I want you to pay attention to this thing that's occurring in your life. And then it'll be more like a nudge. And then it'll be a shove, right? And then it'll be like, what the heck? And then I call it the 2x4 across the forehead, which is, I'm communicating with you. And so for you, that moment, there is that moment where the tiny voice comes through. What was that moment for you? Was it in the journaling? I mean, I know it happened with your friend, the vision board.
Really, for me, it was that moment, like when I came to that moment of like, I have low self-esteem. For somebody like that, for somebody like me to say that out loud, because everybody looked at me. And here's the moment: I'm walking on a path, like I'm literally walking on a path, and I start thinking like, everybody thinks I have my life together. Like everybody, I'm always smiling for everyone, and people have no clue what is happening in my life right now. And that's when I said it. I was like, because I realized the dichotomy of the life I was living, like showing something, but on the inside, like that being totally incongruent. So it was like I was trying to pretend like everything was okay, but it wasn't. And then it was like the congruence, or the moment that it met, and it kind of like was a come to Jesus moment for me, is I have low self-esteem. I have low self-worth. And to say that out loud, like, I really believe that when we can voice it, when we can come to our own truth, like that's what it was for me. Because then I dreamed. Then probably the first action that I took was to take swimming lessons, because that was one of my dreams. And then I learned how to, do freestyle. And then I started swimming regularly. And, that's how the steps started. But sometimes you have to realize that it's time for the journey.
Yeah. So that moment, really, the pivotal moment for you was when you realized what's occurring inside is not what people are seeing on the outside. People are seeing something that I'm wanting them to see. But the truth is, wow, if I really look, if I really opened up the closet and said, all right, well, what is my relationship with myself? And that's what you did. And that's what I'm hearing you say is the first real major step for you to say, wow, I have low self-esteem. I'm not actually being authentic out in the world and showing my truest, highest self. Yeah.
Yeah. And we talk about this, like, I love this word. I love the word authenticity, because we use it like it's become cliche.
It's so
authenticity.
Cliche. Yeah.
It's become cliche, but the truth is that authenticity isn't just about like being authentic on like to the world. Authenticity starts with yourself. Like, how authentic are we with ourselves? Because really, as much as we're trying to prove something to the world, many times we're trying to prove something to ourselves. Our relationship ultimately is with ourselves.
Yeah. 100%.
And then we have experiences with people around us. So what would it be like to get really authentic inside? The good, bad, the ugly. No judgment.
And the good, bad, the ugly. I can so relate to what you're saying, because recovering perfectionist, recovering people pleaser, recovering control freak. Like my breakdown happened right after I graduated college. It was, I know I'm smart, and I know there's, I'm capable. Why can't I go do what everyone else like you is going to do? Going to get the job and work for a company and sit in a cubicle, or work for, you know what I mean? Like, why can't I go do that? And for reasons that I now know, looking back 25 years later, I go, oh, that wasn't that. My soul was telling me that's not your path. That's not who you are. That was my authentic truth. And what I made all of that mean is there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me that I can't, no matter, you couldn't pay me enough. You could not pay me. I basically graduated college and worked for 8 years in restaurants, because it was like, there's no way I'm doing that. And those 8 years were pretty bad. Like I was pretty awful to myself, because that's where I felt like a failure. And then I realized, oh, that's not my path. That's not my path. And I didn't learn that. Until years later. And it is the whispers, the soft nudges, the questions that we ask ourselves. That's like, well, wait a minute. Like, well, what is it? What is it that makes me really fired up? What am I most passionate about? And really, those are the things those are the you know what Christina Miglino calls it? And I hope that I'm quoting her correctly. I hope it was her that said it. And I'm almost 98% sure that it was her. Soul crumbs. They're soul crumbs, the little whispers, the little nudges, the intuitive hits, the gut feelings, like they're soul crumbs.
Yeah.
And so the sooner that we can get connected to ourselves, that's authenticity. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I mean, it's like you were just sharing in your story too. Like it's so interesting the amount of like judgment we put ourselves through. Like, because I don't know there's nobody giving out a report card anymore. Like there's nothing. Like the best thing to do now is to connect with what it is that your soul is calling for, that you're meant to do it. And I really see this for women, especially. I feel like we are taught to play a lot of roles, which is so beautiful because we can do that. Women, we can play a lot of roles, but we're not just roles. We're whole beings. But we can choose parts of ourselves that are good. We can choose parts that we think are not good. And we judge it so much. Whereas no, like all of us is good.
And that was the thing that you said earlier, where you said you actually acknowledged that you had low self-esteem, meaning good, bad, and ugly. Like good, bad, and ugly. Like, wow, I am a control freak, or wow, I am a perfectionist, or wow, I'm taking actions that really, the underlying belief underneath the actions I'm taking really show me I don't love myself. Like I don't have self-esteem. Like, and that is like, I think that is what, for me, this journey of discovery, this journey of back to self, big S, truest S, highest, most authentic S. That's for me. That's what this life has been about and continues to be about, is the unveiling, the discovering, always been there. We have just kind of put ourselves in the box called, where do we learn right and wrong, and where do we learn all that stuff? Well, it's the societal constructs, and they're valuable, and they teach us a lot of things, and how not to be an asshole and whatever. Like, you know what I mean? That, yes, this is that show, FYI. But really, like how to live in community, how to live in society, and we forget who we are. We forget who we are until 2x4. And so the reason why I have these conversations with the guests that I bring on is because I believe this opportunity, this environment, the climate that we find ourselves in could potentially be for people a 2x4 moment, right?
Oh, completely. I mean, going back to this conversation around authenticity and like the guards that we put up, or the masks, the things, the layers that we have, right? That again, ultimately we're just hiding from ourselves. I'm speaking so honestly here. You're not like everybody else sees through it, right? But we are trying so hard. Okay.
Like everything's great.
Yeah. But right now, all these layers have been taken off. All of the things that we may have used as an excuse or a story, like I don't have time, or I'm so like caught up with this or that, like all of the things, they've all been taken off, and like we are in our house with ourselves and our families, God bless their souls to live. Let's continue.
Yeah.
We are with ourselves. And so there is a really deep conversation that can be had right now. And what I would say, like brutally honestly right now, is that if your conversation sounds exactly the same as it did 2 months ago, and you find the same patterns coming up, you have to understand that there's something deeper. And if you're suddenly finding yourself still trying to distract yourself with a lot of things to not connect back in, then heed the call that right now is calling to you. There is a really beautiful lesson. There is a beautiful calling. There is a beautiful something for every single person. I've been witness to just seeing different things with people. And if you allow yourself to really open up your eyes and really open your heart and see yourself just today as you are, like that's the greatest gift for you to have.
The opportunity to discover yourself, to see yourself, to really tell the truth to yourself.
Yeah. To really do that. And again, it's good, bad, or ugly. I mean, and again, there's no judgment. We're all on a journey. This is the other thing I really want to say. You know, in the beginning of our conversation, I was talking about waiting to attain things, to feel a certain way, to reach some pinnacle place. And it's like, there's really no destination. Like, spoiler alert, there's no report card and there is no destination. It's really enjoying the journey.
So here's what I discovered yesterday, kind of like truth bomb that came through me. I think I was talking in a group. I run a group coaching program. And in my group, I said, well, where is the destination? What is the destination? Where are we getting to? Ultimately, what's the end result? What's the outcome? And I stared into like a Zoom panel of just like kind of blank faces. And they said, it's death. I mean, really, like,
that's true.
It is death. So on our way there, what say you? Like, really? And we don't know when it's ever coming. Like, for me, in my mind, I'm like, I'll be 80 something, you know, that old crotchety old wrinkled lady. I'll probably be talking about soul truth and shit like that. I'll be talking about something cool and whatever. I'll die in my sleep, right? Like, with my sister, like, our husbands will be gone. I mean, I love him to death, but I mean, come on, let's just be real. We'll be like kind of like old biddies, like me and my sis and on our canes, and that's out for me. Listen, nice story, lady, like, nice story. And I really truly believe this situation is a collective 2x4 moment. It's a collective, like, you really have right now to decide what's working right now, what's working and what's not working. And on one of my other interviews, one of our dear friends, Beth Osmer, said, we're as sick as the secrets we keep. We really are. We really are as sick as the things that we're hiding, because that takes a whole shit ton of energy. It really does. It really does. And that's what I heard you saying earlier too.
It really does. And, you know, I love your truth bomb about death. Like, let's go there. I love that you went there, because in this particular time, what we're being faced with is our mortality. We are being faced with our mortality. So it's like, are you going to be in a place of constant fear of something that it's a given? It is the one truth in life that your physical body will go, like that. We will die like that. It is going to happen. So let's, instead of being in this fear of the possibility, like that's what I'm seeing right now. It's like so much fear around this like one way. And it's like, well, you could die of a whole lot of things. You know, I don't want to diminish what's happening, but at the same time, death comes in many different ways and it will come. So think about, if you really believe, if you're afraid at the core of it that your life is going to end, then how are you going to live your life up until that end? Like, I feel like that should be the call to be like, okay, like, what am I going to do?
And those are those moments that I've spoken with people that were like, you know, I don't want to call them deathbed moments, but they're like, they're awakenings, they're realizations. They're like, holy shit, like, life is now, right? Life is now. And we really do forget that we don't have tomorrow. We think we do. We plan for it. We construct things in hopes that we have tomorrow. And what a great reminder. And I don't mean like it's, oh, this is so great. No, I just say, like, why not choose this? Why not choose the opportunity in this, which is, let me assess, let me take some inventory of my life right now. And if it were to end tomorrow or today, and I looked back on it, did I use it up? Did I serve? Did I discover the truth of who I am? Did I really discover like the power of my own humanity, the connection that I have with other people, and really what I believe what lights me up, and I believe what lights you is your soul's calling. It is your purpose. It's why you're here. Like I'm not saying I'm here to drop F-bombs, but it is part of how I express myself. And so is humor. And that's why I wanted to call the show Soul, Wit, and Wisdom. Because so one of the questions that I ask my guests that come on is, how do you create wit or fun or humor or levity in your life?
Oh my God. I like, that is my, like, just, that is part of my journey, is play and fun and friendship. Like, I think a lot of times, like I see these people who say like these really wise things, and then they just feel like so much light. And for me, I'm like laughing over here about farting. I found a podcast called like The Farts or something. And it's literally 60 seconds and they do a fart of the day. And it is hilarious.
Sorry, where is this and how have I not seen this before?
Okay, I'm going to tell you the name of this podcast. Like, it's literally the best podcast ever. 60 seconds.
This is what I'm talking about. Do you guys see? This is part of it. Like, this is actually, as work, you know what, Shazia, I'll just say this while you're finding this. The kind of work that you and I do is profound. It's like getting you connected to your higher purpose and your soul, and speaking your truth, and being your highest self. And then, we don't want to get too serious, because then there's the freaking humanity of like, I shit, you shit, everybody farts, like, and it's funny, and it's fun. It really is funny. Like, and that's actually one of the things I see out of this whole experience is it's a great leveler. It's a great just like leveler. Like, if you didn't have any of your things, if you didn't have any of your titles, if you lost everything, who are you? Like, who are you in great moments? Who are you in the worst of times and the best of times? And who are you for your people?
Mm-hmm.
Marty's listening. I think they've gotten to the fart conversation yet. We get to be hysterical. Yep, she just popped a comment.
Okay.
All right, tell me
Marty,
about
you hear it?
Tell me that.
This is really fun.
Oh, you're gonna like.
It's called your fart. Yeah.
What's the name of the podcast?
It's called Your Fart of the Day.
Okay, I want to hear it.
I'll play this episode. It's really, they're all like less than a minute. Okay.
Tune in tomorrow for our newest release.
She says, tune in tomorrow for the next release. It's just so.
It's great. Farts are funny.
They're funny. The word is funny. The sound is funny. I mean, if you need to laugh right now, like, just listen to a fart.
I love it. I seriously love it. You can see, I just want, whoever's watching, I just want you to know, I literally tell the people coming on nothing about what we're going to talk about. It is created here while we're talking. Like, it's going to go wherever it's going to go. Yes, I have some of the same questions and the theme is the same, but like, I didn't know, like, I was like, oh, I love Shazia. I love you. She's such a deeper level now, because farts, man, like, of course, like, I love it. It's the best. Thank you so much for that.
Oh my God, you're welcome. And this is, this life is dynamic, like you're sharing too. It's like, sometimes it gets tiring to be serious all the time. Like, it really does. Like, even sometimes I want to be like, okay, Shazia, like, we can't talk to you about everything. Like, there's a part too of just like laughter and fun and that childlikeness that, like, this actually relates to the shift in our lives too. Like, sometimes a 2x4 comes to show us our truth, but also to have us aligned to like our wholeness that gives the space for like, that levity, that laughter, that wit. I mean, that is part of it too. And that will attract things so quickly. Like, if anybody is thinking, while I wish that there was like more in my life, or I want something more, laughter, joy, it will, like, it's like the biggest magnet. So it's like, you know what? There's always something to laugh about. And there's nothing to feel bad about, because if that was the case, I really don't think God would have invented farts.
I not made them like so funny sounding. Here's what I wish. I was about to get real. I'm like, should I go there?
Yes.
The only thing about the farts is when it's a really bad smell, and then I actually do get mad. Like here's some fart etiquette. Most of us know when it's going to be a bad one. Like really, like we're just like, my husband will be like, okay, I'm kind of married to a guy whose farts don't smell. And it's really annoying because mine do. Can't believe I'm having this conversation right now, but this is the truth. Most of the time, mine are just they're not great. His 9.5 out of 10, nothing. And it pisses me off. Like it really does. It makes me mad. I'm like, that's not fair. But like the other day, if I know that shit's going to stink, I love that you're just cracking up over there, because it's like fodder for it's like, fanning my flame. If I know it's going to stink, I'll be like, hey, I'm going to save yourself. I will warn, save yourself, people. Go, like run for the hill. It's bad. Now I expect the same in return. I really do. So Shazia, you can fart in front of me all day long. And if the people watching know, if they've roomed with me, they know it's on. Like that shit's on. It's going to happen. I talk about it. And like, I'm going to go poop, because just rip the Band-Aid off already. Like rip the Band-Aid off and just let people know. Like you walk around like, no, I don't poop and you don't poop and I don't fart. And I will talk about it so that it's just, we can be honest with each other. And if you have roomed with me in a hotel, this is the case. But I will warn. I just think common courtesy with the farts, just let people know if you think it's going to really be a room clearer. Do you agree with that? Like if it's going to, okay, thank you. I'm going to show my husband this episode.
I mean, I love this conversation. I love it.
It's phenomenal.
I could talk all day about farts. Like I just can't even tell you how connected I feel to you right now. Like this is like so much connection. This is deep.
We are connected in our humanity. I say that like jokingly, because like the humanity is like, biological processes. Like farts are just freaking funny. They're just funny. But we are connected in our humanity. Like it's the great leveler. Oh, you fart too? Oh, your fart smell? Okay, great. Yeah, well, hey, nice to meet you. Mine too. Right? Like it binds us. It connects us.
It really does. I mean, I remember something somebody told me going back to fart etiquette, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I use this philosophy. Okay.
Okay. I want to drop the knowledge on me.
Okay. Let me tell you about what you can do to mask the smell of a fart.
Okay.
Apparently, I follow this rule, so I apologize if it hasn't worked. But if you fart into a sofa cushion, not leather, it doesn't work for leather, but for fabric, it absorbs the smell. So you need not worry. Give it a try and let us know.
Okay. Here's my concern. I'm going to take this one step further. Here's my concern. Like that's going to be one stanky ass sofa. Like that's going to be a real stinky couch someday. Isn't it going to get trapped in there?
No, it dissipates. Okay. So how crazy things got in the quarantine. The other night, I started looking up the chemical makeup of farts.
Oh, I can't believe we're having this conversation. This is so great.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me what it is. It's methane.
It's methane. It's a mix of stuff. Like, I forget. It's a bunch of different things. The real question underneath it all was, is there feces involved? Is that why?
Right.
No, but not all the time, apparently. Actually, I don't think so. I think only rarely is there. It says only if there's some poo waiting that it is. Otherwise, it's not. It's just a chemical makeup of different chemicals.
Right.
So regardless, it's going to dissipate, okay? From a scientific perspective, it will dissipate in the couch. It will go away. Your couch will not end up as a stinky couch.
Okay, and Shazia, I'm trusting you because you are an engineer. So that's where this is I'm gonna trust you on this. Okay, you're gonna hate me for my next question. You ready? Because I don't know if you're gonna be able to actually answer it. This is the question I ask everyone who comes on my show. What is the meaning of life? Exactly. Right? Isn't that fucked up to do that too right now after we talked for 5 minutes about farts? You're going to have to hold it together, sister.
I think it's so perfect. It's a perfect segue to really say that the meaning of life is to be in life. Like, it's that simple. To be in life, to be in the moment. I think a lot about freedom. And to me, freedom looks like being able to talk about farts for 5 minutes and laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh and not feel bad and not like be all prim and proper. And, there is a freedom to laughter. There's a freedom to feeling. There's a freedom to just being. It's like this concept of really being and being free and allowing yourself to be in that place. Like, that's it. Like, there's nothing else.
It's hot.
Yeah.
It's freaking hot. So the meaning of life is to be in life.
Yes.
You guys, here's what I would say. That's one of the dopest answers that I've had so far. Really, you just dropped it. And that was awesome. You guys, that's it. That's all you got to do. Just be in life. Now, here's the caveat to that. Sometimes we don't want to be in life because we're not willing to look at our shit, not our literal shit, not our farts, but we're actually not willing to look at where am I being inauthentic? Where am I pretending like everything's fine, or where am I pretending like everything's not fine? So I love that. That's an amazing truth bomb. Thank you for that. Can you?
I have to go. I still have to stay with the poo, the shit metaphor, okay? And the fart actually relates to what you're saying too. When we're not willing to look at our shit, it's like denying that you actually do shit. And that it smells. It smells, but guess what? It's a part of the process. It's a part of you take things in, and some things they have to pass. You've got to let them go. It's again, stop judging these things. Stop judging it when you allow yourself to accept all of it.
That was all of it. Okay. Here's first of all, how you wrapped shitting into a dope truth, seriously, an actual spiritual truth, because it is true. I call it when you're stuck in your shit, when you're you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I call it sitting in your poopy diaper, and everyone can smell it. Everyone can smell when you're doing that. It's obvious to everyone, probably except for you. But I love that analogy.
Yeah, and it's it passes. It's fine. Let it go and carry on, and it's gonna happen again. I actually wrote a blog post called "Why is the poo emoji smiling?"
Oh,
it
was a lot.
It's deep, and it's about the poo analogy, and it's powerful.
It is.
Allow yourself to just process, to pass through. It's gonna smell, and then you carry on, and then this is part of life, and also being able to laugh at yourself. Just. Lighten up sometimes. I just gotta think of myself first and foremost. Everything I'm saying comes back to me first.
Always.
I get to hear it first.
Always. Why do you think I'm doing these? I'm oh my gosh, thank you for the reminder. Yes. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Oh my gosh. This is so great. Seriously, I was I'm sitting here. I'm it went to farts and poop. And I was and I don't care. Wrapped back around to some spiritual truth in that shit. Seriously, literally, figuratively, it's an amazing analogy. Thank you. Wrapping it up like a pro. Okay. Can you talk about your free gift? Because I saw it and I was I love this. I'm looking at it right now. What's your free gift?
Yes. Okay, so my free gift is the 30 Days of Pleasure calendar. So we we started touching on it in the laughter, but pleasure is where it's at. Like if you really want to allow yourself to be whole and to like see and be connected to you, then pleasure is where it is at. And pleasure is not something far away. And it's not what sometimes we think pleasure is based on society. It's about as women feeling things deeply. And so I created this calendar of really simple things you can do every day for 30 days. It doesn't cost you anything, nor does it require you to go anywhere. So it's perfect for this time too.
COVID approved. It's quarantine
COVID approved. Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's just a really beautiful way to start living your life and giving that permission, giving yourself to live your authenticity, your truth, your life, your power, like all the things within you, like just live it.
Well, and I know, and one of the things that I have really started to focus on, I'm using this whole situation as an opportunity for me to say, okay, just in my business, and I've been talking about this with a lot of people, what do I love doing? Like, what do I just love doing? And what am I just like, I feel like I should be doing that, but I don't like it. And I'm like, go towards the light, like go towards and what you're saying, like the pleasurable things, it actually raises our vibration. It draws more goodness into us. And we're supposed to seek out like the things that we desire, the things that you desire are desiring you. Like there's no accidents. That's the pull is there for a reason.
It is. And just as much as like we will accept hardship, like I think sometimes too, we'll accept hardship and we'll take it on. And it's like, you can take that same energy and also accept pleasure for yourself. You know, this is the piece where I think women don't know where to go next or how to do it. And it's like, let's take our energy and allow ourselves to have those things that we desire and be in it. And like, that's it. Again, it's like be in it, be in life. Like this is the way. In case anyone was like, how? Okay, it's in the 30 Days of Pleasure calendar.
Love it. I love it. I love you. You're phenomenal. Thank you so much for coming in here and talking about like all things, including farts and poop. And actually like it all applies. Like it's really it was really powerful and fun and funny. And I honor you. I acknowledge you. I thank you so much for coming in and elevating, even just for a moment. I can't wait to share it. Like, I can't wait to like, you have to watch this. You have to watch this interview. Just wait. It gets real good, right? Like towards the end, it just gets real fast. Just stay with it. There's some great messages in there. So
just say, we talk about farts and poop. Just like tell people.
Yeah. I mean, there are great, but it is a great analogy. Thank you so much. I love you. I honor you. I respect you. And I truly, deeply appreciate you being here and having this conversation with us. All right, guys, to get Shazia's gift, go to soulwitandwisdom.com. I will have her interview up. I'll have her free gift up here in just a moment, and you can download that at any time. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.